G'day brothers and sisters, this is the other Paul, and this is Recommended Sources. In this episode, I will be reviewing and recommending the Annals of the Whole World by Archbishop James Ussher, and in particular, the Master Books edition. To give some brief background, James Ussher was an early to mid-17th century bishop within the Anglican Communion, serving as the Bishop of Meath from 1621 to 1625, and then the Archbishop of Armagh and Primate of all Ireland from 1625 to 1656. As evidenced by the work that I will be reviewing and by many other works that he's actually produced, he was a titan of historical scholarship. And on top of his chronological work in the Annals, right here, he was foundational in the identification of the authentic epistles of Ignatius of Antioch, as well as their authentic form, although he did dispute the authenticity of Ignatius' epistle to Polycarp, which is mostly regarded as authentic today. But be that as it may, both his work on Ignatius and in the Annals would exert an immense impact on future historical studies. On the Annals itself, the original work was published in 2 volumes, and was originally only composed in Latin, with an English translation only arriving 2 years after Ussher's death. As such, the original title was not The Annals of the World, nor the Latin equivalent Annales Mundi. Rather, both volumes had a rather lengthy title each, and even the 1686 edition, which had a shorter combined title, still had this for the title. Annales veteris et novi testamenti a prima mundi origine deducti, usque ad extremum templi et republicae Judaicae excidium, una cum rero Asiaticarum et Aegyptiacarum chronico, which translates to English as the Annals of the Old and New Testament, drawn from the origin of the world until the end of the Temple and the destruction of the Judean Republic, together with a chronicle of Asiatic and Egyptian affairs. As per the title, the Annals is a chronology of world history, from the creation of the world up to the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in AD 70. It summarizes historical events in chronological order according to multiple dating systems, including Anno Mundi from the creation of the world, the Julian calendar, various regnal year systems, and, of course, the usual BC AD system. Ussher himself prefaces the text with his own epistle to the reader, wherein he outlines his purpose to provide an exact chronology of history from creation onwards, and his methods for doing so, as well as his principal sources and the meanings of certain acronyms he uses within the work. This opening epistle should certainly be read first before one decides to dive into the main text, as it provides some necessary contextual information undergirding the work itself and is just a fascinating read in its own right, wherein Ussher treats history as a truly sacred endeavor and not a mere occasion for intellectual stimulation. In the main text, historical events are summarized in short to moderate length paragraphs in which the primary sources are also cited. These events are organized in chronological order according to exact dates as Ussher calculates them, and are themselves divided into 7 ages, with the first 6 ages covering the period of history from creation to the beginning of the Maccabean period in the 2nd century BC. 2nd century BC. And the 7th age covering the Maccabean period to the destruction of the Second Temple, which takes up the entirety of the 2nd volume. With the content itself covered, we will now consider the particular edition from Master Books that I will be reviewing, produced by Larry and Marion Pierce. It was released in 2 forms, paperback and hardcover. This is the paperback edition, almost the size of a full A4 page, and itself close to 1,000 pages long. And this edition is what you'll want if you're on a tight budget. However, the real edition for those who have some cash to spend is the hardback, with its absolutely beautiful burgundy cover, gold lettering and imagery, and its gold-lined pages. Truly a thing of beauty that you can display on your bookshelf with pride. As icing on the cake, both editions can be laid flat on a surface for easy reading. Now, respecting the text itself, the Master Books edition contains a number of additional features, ranging from nice, convenient additions to truly essential changes. At the start of the text, the editors include their own preface explaining how they went about translating and editing Ussher's original text, with honest accounts of their own limitations, which is very important for readers to note, but which also shows the real integrity of the editors, and so you get exactly what is being advertised. They also include explanatory notes after Ussher's own epistle to the reader, explaining the format of the main text and how to read the various notational systems within it. Looking at the main text itself, each page is divided into 2 columns in which sections detailing particular historical episodes are headed by specific dates in multiple years systems, including, but not always exclusively, the Anno Mundi date system, the Julian calendar, and, of course, the BC AD system, which is also shown at the top of the page. You will likewise see in every paragraph primary source citations shown in smaller italicized text, which will be discussed in more detail soon. Overall, the text is extremely clean, organized, and very easy to navigate, which means everything in a book of this size. After the main text, the editors added a set of appendices on a variety of subjects, particularly those relevant to young Earth creation theory, but also on some other matters. But the most important feature of the Master Books edition, in my judgment, is its updating of Ussher's primary source references to available modern editions, primarily those of the Loeb Classical Library collection. All you need to do is go to a paragraph, find the bracketed source citation, find the respective Loeb volume with the primary source, and find the section listed. In some cases, the editors couldn't find a Loeb Classical Library edition of a work cited by Ussher and will instead cite another edition they could acquire. But in some cases, the editors did not have a work cited by Ussher and so could not check Ussher's reference, though they leave it in the text and bibliography anyway for the sake of completeness. Regardless, since all of the most heavily cited primary sources in the main work have specific editions cited for them, chasing up the references will be an easy task in the vast majority of cases. To give my value judgment, this work is simply excellent. Chef's kiss. A truly massive summary of ancient history and an encyclopedic aid for finding primary sources for that period, not to mention a testament to the formidability of early 17th century historiography. However, you should be aware of one particular limitation of this work. It was written a fair while before the explosion of Egyptology and the deciphering of Egyptian hieroglyphics, and so the information on Egypt in this book is much more limited compared to what we know today, and the chronology of that time and place will likewise be a bit shakier given that lack of information. Despite all of this, Ussher's history is truly rich with historical data that anyone of any educational level will find value in. Therefore, I recommend Ussher's Annals of the World to anyone of any level of learning in the ancient history of Europe and the Near East up until the destruction of the Second Temple, including and especially biblical history. For laymen, you will learn of truly epic stories of our ancient past and the roles they played in the grand narrative of world history. For academics and students, this work will be an incredible aid in researching key events of ancient history. And overall, the book is really at its best in its chronological ordering of events and copious citations, allowing you to very easily find the events you are studying and chase down the sources. With all that said, if you are interested in purchasing this absolute gem of a book, you can buy it at the usual places like Amazon, Abe Books, and even at Master Books' own website. Fellow Australians can also get it from places like Amazon's Australia website, eBay, what have you, but also from Coorong, who are selling it for 109 Australian dollars for the hardback and 69 Australian dollars for the paperback. Unfortunately, at the time of recording, Coorong doesn't have any copies in stock, so keep a lookout or purchase from another seller. And that concludes this episode of Recommended Sources. I must emphasize that every book I review in this series is one that I truly recommend, and not anything that I think is okay or which actually sucks. So you can be confident that you are making a very worthwhile purchase. And as usual, if this review has inspired you to go on and purchase this book, please do let me know and potentially encourage others to do the same by leaving a comment down below. Finally, if you enjoy my content and wish to support me, you can become a supporter at my new locals page right now. I'll be indefinitely retiring the Subscribe Star page due to the number of continuing issues I'm having with the service, and so locals will now be my new home for supporters and will be so even if I decide to bring the Subscribe Star back. So be sure to check out the pinned post in the locals group, which you can join for free, in order to see the different tiers of support and the benefits you get for such. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a lovely day or evening. God bless.